Hi, welcome to Comptroller's Corner. I'm your host, Pat Curry, joined as always by Buffalo Comptroller Mark Schroeder. Our top story today, 18 different bidders competed to give Buffalo the best possible rates on $33 million in capital borrowing. This competition among investment firms, combined with Buffalo's rising bond ratings, resulted in rock-bottom rates for city taxpayers. Now, Mark, when you went to the bond market with a combination of short-term notes and long-term bonds, you knew there would be some interest among investment firms, but not even you expected this much of attention from Wall Street.
Yeah, this is something, Patrick, that we've earned this. We have earned this, and I give credit to all of us working for the city of Buffalo over the last several years. And so, as you know, I went to New York City a little while ago to pretty much give an update to potential investors on how well we are doing. The day before I gave that speech to Wall Street and to investors, we got an upgrade the second time in the last 2 years from a rating agency. This came from Standard & Poor's. This is very, very helpful when you're going to do an issuance, especially of this magnitude for Buffalo, as you mentioned, $33 million. So we knew, and we also know who previous investors have been. We know that. And so we communicate to them during the course of the year to let them know the progress that Buffalo is making. But you're right. This was a record for the city of Buffalo to have 18 different bidders on two different issuances, one a long-term note and one a short-term note, is outstanding and something that we are going to continue to look at and try to figure out a way to embellish this so that we even make it better for next year.
Now, I just want to go over the two rates in particular. The first deal was a $25.6 million in bonds, long-term borrowing, and among the 13 investors that competed for that, Guggenheim was the winner, and they offered a rate of 1.88, which is remarkably low for the bond market. And then in $7.4 million bond anticipation note, which is a shorter-term note that matures in a year,
right,
there was four of the firms from the previous deal, including 5 new firms, for 9 bidders competing for that deal. And Raymond James came out on top and offering the city 0.29% on its bond anticipation note. That's less than 1/3%.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So let's go to the first deal, the major bond deal of $25 million with Guggenheim. And the coincidence here is very interesting to me. We, in a respectful way, the city of Buffalo, we're trying to depart from our old industrial ways and trying to talk about downtown development, waterfront development, Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus, 17,000 jobs in 2017. And so we have been very successful in doing that. One of the greatest industrial powers in New York State history was Guggenheim. They were a mining company back in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, and now, starting in around 1995 or so, have been very much involved in the securities business. And for them to come strong, first time, I think it's the first time Guggenheim has ever really bidded. First time that they've recognized that Buffalo is something to look at, and they did it in the most aggressive way. I think that tells another story that Buffalo has come a long way, and we've got a long way to go, and we want to really continue, Patrick, this momentum going forward.
And Guggenheim wasn't the only investment firm to bid on Buffalo that hadn't bid on Buffalo before. There were several other new faces to the table when Buffalo went to market these bonds.
Yeah, out of the 13 bidders, there were several. It was the first time they really showed an interest in Buffalo. Why did they show an interest in Buffalo? Well, I don't know what the particular reason is. I just know that the overall trend and the upgrades from rating agencies over the last 2 years and some of the highlights of what's been happening here. You've got a very aggressive congressman who's made it his business impetus to develop the waterfront with a governor, Andrew Cuomo, who has committed an unprecedented $1 billion to this economy. And so Wall Street and New York City types are waking up to what's happening here in Buffalo. And plus, it is not good what's going on in Washington. It's not good what's happening around the world, especially powerhouses like Russia, who are just trying to put the thumb on Ukraine and other places. This will lead investors to domestic munis that are safe, and that is what's happened over the last couple of weeks. And on that ban you talked about, the $7 million short-term one-year ban, Raymond James not only is a major player and an investor who has a presence in New York City, but I'm also very happy to report to the citizens of Buffalo that if you drive down Delaware Avenue, once you get to around Tupper, you will see a beautiful office complex that Raymond James has here in Buffalo, and that's meaningful to me, and certain, Patrick, it's meaningful to the employees who work there here in the downtown Buffalo area.
So there was a lot of factors that went into this great deal that Buffalo got. You mentioned geopolitical events overseas. There was also some volatility in the stock market recently. But Buffalo's rising bond rating, including upgrade from S&P last month and an upgrade from Moody's 2 years ago, also played a major role in this. And it all culminated in, between the two sales, 18 different investors competing to give Buffalo this best rate. Now, what this means for taxpayers is that because of the low rates, that means less money will be spent on interest, which means more money can go out into the community where it's needed.
Yeah, no question about it. But on the bond anticipation note of $7 million, the one-year note, 28 basis points. I mean, that is unbelievable. We made a big deal last year when we went and did a ban of $17 million at basis points of 33. This is unbelievable. And it's unbelievable because we've earned it. The citizens of Buffalo expect it, and we're going to continue to do this. And over the next several years, I think things are going to get much, much better. And I think one of the things, though, Patrick, that the administration and the Common Council are probably going to have to look at, and I know because I go to every single neighborhood in this city, people across the city of Buffalo are exuberant about what's happening in downtown Buffalo. And they're very excited about what's happening on the waterfront. But they're beginning to say, what about us? What about us in our neighborhoods? And, you know, I heard a report today that the Walden Galleria is celebrating its 25th anniversary. Well, guess what? There are business districts across Buffalo who've been asleep. They've been asleep for the last 25 years because of all these malls all around us in the suburbs. And I think the time has come where attention has to be given to the neighborhoods and to business districts. If that happens, Buffalo is going to be well on its way to an incredible recovery economically.
Well, some of the $33 million that we did go to the market to borrow, that will be going for street repairs, demolitions, park improvements all across the city, and including some of the marquee destinations for Buffalo, including the Buffalo Zoo, Coca-Cola Field, and the Hatch Restaurant at the Erie Basin Marina, which your office recently audited, and there's 2 new vendors in there to make sure that the city's getting the best bang for their buck in that destination. Yeah,
absolutely. And there are certainly, as you point out, there are some infrastructure and capital improvements that will take place because of this issuance. But I think I just want to continue to underscore the importance that the public-private sector means to individual neighborhoods, and that same sort of attention has to be there like there's been on the waterfront in downtown Buffalo.
And part of that attention is to reduce crime, and included in this $33 million in capital borrowing is $1 million for new police vehicles that will be hitting the streets very soon.
Yeah, and so these are all things that happen when we go through this process each and every year, and so I'm glad that it's come to a conclusion. It is certainly a very happy ending here for Buffalo, and we're looking forward to doing this again next year. And I think what's going to happen, Patrick, is that I'm committed to trying to find more and more investors who are interested in Buffalo, and there's a way to reach out to them, one of which is the website that you control for the Comptroller, and of which I'm grateful for, because I think it's one of the best municipal websites within the United States of America, and it links so many different things so investors can go on instantly. And this is an instant world right now. If you're not ready and out there instantly when somebody's interested in you, then you've lost it. And so we're not mailing things out anymore. We are ready on our website, and anybody, if you want to know whether you're a citizen of Buffalo or whether you're an investor in New York City, you can find out instantly what's going on here in the city of Buffalo.
And there's even an investor relations page, which is a one-stop shop for all the financial information that an investor might be looking for from Buffalo. Now, Mark, of these $33 million in projects, I just wanted to make clear that these have all passed the Schroeder test, which means that the money is going to be there because the project is ready to begin. So no longer will there be money sitting in bank accounts for years waiting to be spent. Only projects that are ready to go and the money that's ready to be spent are included in this capital debt issuance.
So much so, Patrick, that on the $25 million bond issuance, that's really a 2-year deal. So 25 million divided by 2 is just around 13 million or so. And so that is manageable, in my opinion, based on what I've seen over the last 28 months. I think the city could spend more, but until I feel comfortable that they can, there is no reason to go to the market to borrow any more. The city of Buffalo now has a mission. They need to spend this money. We're watching, and we're going to monitor. And so we think that everything is going to be okay going into the next year.
And there's other financing options that we can pursue if the project becomes ready before the next bond sale.
We have tools.
And I'm sure you'll be writing all about the progress in spending money in the Comptroller's Estimate Report, which comes out in August.
Right.
But Mark, we have to take a quick break.
Okay.
When we come back, I want to talk about the fuel consumption audit that you just recently filed with the council.
Okay, great, Patrick.
Stay tuned for more Comptroller's Corner.
There's a place, not so far away, a place where you don't have to keep the volume down. You'll find all sorts of creatures in this place without have to. The silly you, the proud you. You may even meet the curious you.
It's tickling me! You!
Ask your parents to take you to this not so far away place. Come to the forest, where the other you lives. But first, stop by discovertheforest.org.
Hi, welcome back to Comptroller's Corner. I'm your host, Pat Curry, joined as always by Buffalo Comptroller Mark Schroeder. The Comptroller recently filed an audit of fuel consumption in the city that found that half of the test sample had vehicles that the fuel pumped exceeded the tank capacity of that vehicle. Now, Mark, you're hopeful that this didn't mean that somebody was pumping fuel into a private vehicle, but what the audit really found was that the old system called ProKey was a manual entering of information is insufficient in doing the controls, and that newer vehicles that had the automotive information or AIM unit installed in it, there were no instances of fuel pumped exceeding the tank capacity of that vehicle. So you have recommended that all city vehicles be equipped with this AIM unit to prevent any misuse or inappropriate use of city fuel.
Yeah, Patrick, I mean, this is real simple. If the listeners heard what you said in terms of the old limited system called ProKey, it's manual, doesn't work. It doesn't work in this day and age. And so the new system, AIM, is a system that will work for us going forward, and we've tested it. And so we've made it clear with evidence that it works, and the administration agrees. After we send the audit, they respond in writing, and they can agree or disagree. And pretty much everything that we've said, they agree with. So why would I be interested in this type of audit? The reason is that there are over 12,000 authorized vehicles within the city of Buffalo, with over 18,000 authorized users. Manual is not good. It doesn't work. It creates too many errors, and errors create burdens for taxpayers. And so this was simple. We have complete cooperation from the administration. They know we have to do better. There's some areas in terms of diesel fuel that we are not really using AIM at its full capacity. We're still in the old limited pro-key system. And we've made that abundantly clear. We have to do better. And quite frankly, we just don't do these audits one time for everybody to read and all the council members read. We do, as you know, something that we started here within the last couple of years, is we do what is called anniversary audits. This is not going away. It doesn't mean we're going to wait a year either to watch this. We're going to monitor this right now. But in a year, we will be clear to the administration, to the Department of Purchase, to the mayor, to the council members on the progress or lack of progress that they're making on something like this that is a no-brainer. Technology-based AIM is going to help us go forward.
Now, how it works is it sends a radio signal to the pump identifying odometer readings and how much fuel was pumped. Now, you said you're encouraging the Division of Purchase to equip all vehicles with this. Right now, with unleaded vehicles, where there's a greater risk of fuel being misused, it's currently 68 or 563 vehicles, 68% of the city's fleet as far as unleaded fuel is equipped with AIM. So you're looking at that progress to increase. And then as you mentioned, diesel, we're only at about 10% equipped with AIM. So when you do file the follow-up report with the council next year, you're looking to see those numbers go up, ultimately to 100% of all city vehicles equipped with AIM.
And those citizens who are watching our show today, and those who maybe are mechanics or they really understand this, I think they understand what we're saying when we talk about taking advantage of this technology, because as you pointed out, AIM stands for Automotive Information Modules, which actually connect to the vehicle's diagnostic computer. And so to me, that eliminates all manual errors, automatically. And so it's a great system, and it's something that we have to keep looking at, and we want to make sure that it continues to progress.
Now, Mark, I wanted to also mention another report you filed with the council. It's a report on the spending of community block grant development development block grant funds, which are federal housing funds that are supposed to fight poverty in the city. And you're quite alarmed that the city needs to spend $14 million of these funds before August 1st, and they don't have a great track record in spending this kind of money. So you're concerned that this money could be taken back by the federal government.
Yeah. Patrick, not only am I concerned about that, but as you know, and as the viewers know, because if it was contrary, I would say it, we've had a very, very good relationship with the Buffalo Common Council. And last week, they had a meeting of what is called a special meeting of housing, of which I've never heard of. It's not published anywhere. They have a meeting, and on the agenda, under their item, they have the comptroller's name. I'm not invited, my staff isn't invited. And from that, we know about the $14 million. That isn't my main concern. My main concern are meetings held in secret or in private where the comptroller's office isn't invited. Because we're alert, we were able to go into that meeting, and now we're able to also initiate another meeting where we make it perfectly clear that we don't like to have these types of meetings without us there. We have a responsibility, and because of the HUD, the federal government, freezing the money of the city of Buffalo, which affects the most vulnerable people in our city. The Comptroller's office was forced into this a year and a half ago. And for us not to be invited to a meeting is despicable, and it won't happen again. And I'm going to make it clear to the council president this week when I meet with him that this type of behavior is not going to be tolerated by us. And we're going to go to a committee meeting this week, and we're going to talk about the different programs that are important to the most vulnerable citizens here. And for them to say in this meeting last week that when they start a contract, it begins and ends in 90 days, that, Patrick, is a bold-faced lie. It takes 712 days to execute these contracts for people who are qualified to get federal money. The city of Buffalo's only responsibility is to get them the money that they deserve through the federal government. So this is something that, as far as I'm concerned, the gloves are off in the Comptroller's office. We have tried to get along best we can. On something like this will not be tolerated, and it won't be, and it's not going to happen again.
You mentioned you weren't invited to the meeting. The item under discussion had the word comptroller in it. It was about a proposal you made back in November. You wrote a letter to the mayor that's recommended that instead of contracting with the Buffalo Urban Renewal Agency, that the city delegate more responsibility to Belmont Housing Services, who does the same program for many municipalities around Western New York.
Right.
You have not received a response to that letter, and then this meeting came up, and you were not invited to speak on this meeting.
But more importantly, Belmont Housing, they do this, as you've mentioned, in Cheektowaga. They do it in several other communities around the city of Buffalo. And we have identified that there is a bottleneck within Bureau. They're unable to execute. Maybe they want to, and they're all very nice people, and the commissioner is a very nice man. But at the end of the day, it's not working. When something doesn't work, you go to Plan B. Plan B is simple. You go to an organization that does this each and every day. They know how to execute the programs so that the citizens, especially those who are most vulnerable, get what they deserve and what they're qualified for. It's simple. And so we're going to continue, and this isn't the first time that we've brought this up. This has gotten my attention because of what took place in City Hall, and that has not happened in the 28 months that I've been there, and I can guarantee you this will not be a trend.
Now, I just wanted to go over some of those numbers. The Office of Strategic Planning said that it takes on average 90 days, and that less than 10% take more than 90 days. But in actuality, in this report, what it shows is on average, it takes 712 days from when you apply to when the roof is completed or whatever emergency rehab you need in your house, and that some have taken as long as 1,100 days, which is over 3 years, and the quickest one was ever done was not even close to 90 days. It was 160 days. So those numbers are way off. And in addition to that, the strategic planning has claimed that since January 1st, they've approved 159 applications and 109 in the permit stage. Well, our office has only received 3 applications submitted since January 1st, and in order for them to get that far along, we would have to be involved much before that.
Yeah, this report that we're talking about, we've offered the highlights of it. I would suggest strongly to the citizens who are watching this to contact their council member and contact the mayor and to explain that you're aware of this situation and that you would expect the city to do better when it comes to administering these federal funds. We're doing the best that we can, and we know that other departments in Bureau are busy, and we respect that. But when we offer suggestions that we believe are meaningful and that we believe will alleviate the problems, and nothing really happens, it's frustrating. And Patrick, you know, I go to every single neighborhood and I go to community meetings, and people know that I'm the comptroller, so they ask me the question about this. And so it is upsetting to me that I know enough about this to know that it's the city of Buffalo that could be doing better and nobody else. And we're just sort of suggesting that.
And at the meeting, strategic planning mentioned how they're limited in what they can delegate to Belmont, but anything they delegate to the Buffalo Urban Renewal Agency can also be delegated instead to Belmont.
Yeah, it's a policy decision, and listen, they may have great reasons for it, but if they had great stats and great numbers, we wouldn't even be talking about this right now. They don't, and so they have a responsibility to do something about it. If they want to go to a different option, something that I haven't recommended, something different, that's fine with me, but what's happening right now is it's not working, and so they have a responsibility to do something about it. It can be as simple as a suggestion that I've made. The suggestion that I've made has merit because other municipalities that are contiguous to Buffalo do it. If they want to go somewhere else, that's fine. If they want to do something else, that's fine. But do something.
And part of the reason your office is even involved in this process is because of the Buffalo Urban Renewal Agency's dismal track record on getting the money out into the streets to the people that need it the most.
You know, Patrick, when this all started and when we got involved, we had to start a little HUD division within the department, the Division of Audit. And we have a 3-person division right now. 2 of the 3 are certified public accountants. I can assure you, we know what we're doing, we know what to do, and so when we make these observations, it's because we have a clue of what's happening and we want everybody to do better.
Now, Mark, we just have a minute left, but this week is El Dia del Nino, is the Day of the Child is this week, and you're going to be reading books to school children at school number 33, the Bilingual Center.
Patrick, I never knew until this very day that you must have taken Spanish at City Honors. You did good. This day is very, very important, and it is sponsored by the Hispanic Heritage Council, and one of the leaders is Kaz Rodriguez. Kaz Rodriguez, he's a dear friend of mine and others because he does so much for our community, and I often go to all of the events that they have throughout the course of the year, and I'm looking forward to going to Public School 33 in the Valley neighborhood this week to read to our young students, and it's a great opportunity. I do it all the time. I go to Public School 72 where I graduated from Lorraine Elementary, it's called now, and I read a couple of times a year, and so this is an opportunity for me and other elected officials and other people from the Buffalo area to get involved with our children, especially children who also speak not only English, but they also speak Spanish and other languages at this school. And so we're going to have a fine time this week with all of our students.
And you'll be reading your favorite children's book, which was written by Mario Cuomo, correct?
Yeah, I love that book, and it's a book that talks about immigrants coming to this country and working hard and being successful. It's called The Blue Spruce, and I love that book, and I'll be reading that this week in the Valley.
All right, Mark. Well, that's all the time we have for this Comptroller's Corner. Thanks for joining us, and thanks at home for joining us. We'll see you next month. But in the meantime, make sure to check out our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our Twitter handle, and of course, the City of Buffalo website. This is Pat Curry on behalf of Mark Schroeder, signing off.